Hello, peeps on the live. Thank you so much for joining us. We are talking with Kate today, which I think a bunch of you would know from yoga, Pilates, workshops. We've got little Jetty. Actually, you can probably just see him on the floor. Hi. Good boy. And he's been so amazing. Yes. So we might pick him up a few times throughout the pod, but we'll see how we go. He's Matt's chilling at the momento. What a dream, hey, like just so laid back, having a glass of milk.
He's usually too lazy to feed himself, so I actually don't quite well.
Amazing. He's like, what?
He heard that.
He heard it. Are you talking to me?
I'll pay for that one later, don't worry.
Save it for later, Jenny. Save it for later.
We will. Save it to night time.
Amazing. All right, let's start. Thank you so much for joining me on the Natural Birth Code podcast.
No worries, excited to be here.
I'm super excited to share your birth story because it is quite an amazing one. I've never had anything quite like it, and I'm really, really intrigued to hear your opinion.
Oh my gosh.
Hear it from start to finish.
Honestly, it was wild, and I think I was in denial the entire time. Like, you know, I was. I was at I was 39 weeks, almost the day before I was due, and I went to the midwife, and she did she had me up on the table doing the examination, and then was like, oh, just wait till this contraction's finished, and I was like, what? And she was like, can't you feel that you're contracting right now? And I was like, oh, am I? And she was like, yeah, like look at your tummy, and I was like, oh,
Is this all that serious labour that Amy talks about? Is this all?
And she was like looking at me, like, you know, as she'd been looking at me the whole journey, just been like, who is this?
So good.
And so, you know, that was like my first inkling of, I guess it could be sooner than I think.
Oh my gosh.
And then,
that is so... Well, how about we rewind
Yeah.
and start from the start? So, did you want to talk about anything to do with the conception or the surprise or anything like that?
It was actually crazy. Like, you know, I was on the Inclinon for years, and then went off the Inclinon just because it wasn't working for me. Like, the marina was planned to go in, and basically I was booked in to get the marina in, and the receptionist had made a mistake and had booked another consult, not the actual insertion.
Yes.
And so lucky, because I was pregnant at the time when that all went down. So crazy, yeah. And then, you know, our house settled, and literally I brought home 3 pregnancy tests, and I was like, let's just do it in the morning, and the Tom was like, there's 3. You know, you may as well, let's just do one now.
Yes.
And I just knew. I knew that I was. Because
What did you feel?
When I was going to the gym, I felt this little pain in the left side of my stomach.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh, this is new. It's a bit too high to be any hip flexor strain or anything like that.
Yeah.
And then the more it didn't go away, and the more I couldn't get it activated by muscle, any kind of workout thing, I was like, oh, something's going on here.
Yes.
But found out we were having Jetty, which, you know, turned out to be the best thing ever.
Yes.
Such good timing. After being like, this is going to be tough timing, it was the best timing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. How did you go through? I always wonder that because honestly, for example, right now, if I was to fall pregnant, I would feel just as shocked as what you did there, and I'd be like, what the fuck do I do with myself?
Yeah.
How do you work on moving past that?
I think we were really lucky, having a great relationship, financially stable, having done a lot of a lot of travel and things like that anyway. I still make the joke that I'm a teen mum, and you know, I'm so young. I'm turning 19 forever. But it all just, I don't know, I feel like it was just Todd was so good when we found out too, that just settled everything. It was honestly, it was perfect.
Amazing. I love that. That's so cool. So then you were pregnant and you decided cool, all right, we're doing this thing. Where did you go from there? How did you feel? What did you do moving forward?
I was trying to keep up my exercise routine just because that was such a big part of my life. But then I found it really hard just because you couldn't go go as hard as you usually would at the gym. And like, you know, I'd be looking at my watch and being like, oh my god, my heart rate's getting to 150 already. Like, I better like, you know, tone it back. And then I was just like, oh, like what's the point of even exercising kind of thing? Because I'm kind of like a go hard or, you know, not
go
a
hard
kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that was hard, and like, you know, adjusting to like surfing and water skiing and all the activities that I like doing. That I found that tough.
Yeah.
But I think I'll find it a lot easier the second time round, just because you get to like, it was hard to visualize what Jet would be like, and I found that easier. Like, you know, finding out the gender and stuff like that, you can just imagine him a lot more. Yes. And now that I've got this little legend, I think it will be easier the second time, because I'll be like, I just get to have like the light at the end of the tunnel is another little legend.
Absolutely. It seems like more of an exchange rather than I'm missing out on all my exercise for nothing.
Yes.
Yeah. That's so valid, actually. That's such a good point.
Dad.
His favorite new word. Clever boy. Amazing. Yeah, so that would have been a really big adjustment. And then you ended up doing MGP, didn't you?
Yeah. So I got in there, and they were awesome, really. Like, I had Jess, who was my main one, and then like I didn't really meet the other two until right at the end. Like literally the week before, I ended up having Jet, which is good that I met them at the end. So
good.
Yeah.
Yes.
They were really good. And honestly, if I wasn't part of that little crew, it would have been a completely different ball game, and we would have had to deliver him ourselves, really.
Yes.
Just with ambos. So it was nice knowing that they were there.
So good. Killed the punchline right there, but we'll continue. Awesome. So then, entering your birth, like, correct me if I'm wrong, you didn't know a hell of a lot about pregnancy, birth, motherhood, all that was pretty new.
Nothing.
Yeah, you didn't have many friends that were in that phase of life either. So it was all pretty confronting. And how did you go about all your goods in pregnancy, preparing yourself for that?
Yeah, it was funny. Like, one of my friends just said, you know, Stephen Bradbury, that ice skater that like comes through with the bib, like having basically this ice skater that's coming last in the Olympics, and then like everyone just falls down in front of him and he comes through and gets a gold medal. And that's what one of my friends like referred to me as having kids first, which is honestly so accurate.
That's the funniest thing.
Yeah, it's so good. And so it was, once I got over that, no, doing your classes was literally the best thing ever. That's all I needed. That was like super simple.
Amazing.
You know, just one or two things for my brain to focus on.
Yes.
So I got to do it too. So
Yes.
we're both on the same page. There was only one page.
Yes.
Like, you know,
So good.
we weren't crowded with information or anything like that, which is what we needed, what worked well for us.
That's such a good way to say it. Weren't crowded with information. I'm honestly a sucker for that. Like, research here, listen to a podcast here, listen to a YouTube series here about the same fucking topic, and then you end up with all these different opinions.
Like, what's true?
What's true, what's not true. And I think a big part of birth prep isn't necessarily like which one you pick as such. It's just pick one and stick with it and do it fucking 100%. Like, be dedicated to it, which you so were. So you did the yoga, the Pilates, the body balance, and the birth workshop. And the body balance you were super diligent with. And you said you found, because everyone's groove is a little bit different with staying consistent with body balance. You did it after dinner, you found good food.
Yeah. I knew, like, you were like, this is going to reduce your chance of tearing, and I was like, okay.
That was your biggest thing, wasn't it?
Yes. Oh my god. So basically, I, like, even if I felt like not doing it, I was like, I gotta do this. It's like the same as the gym anyway. If you feel like not going, you still gotta go. You're still gonna go. Like, it's the same kind of mental routine. You just have to get it done.
You have such a good fucking mentality with that stuff. Like, better than mine. Like,
oh no.
It's
if you have John's at risk of tearing, don't worry. I'll be doing the exercises.
So true. That's so true. Such a good perspective. Yeah, sick. And I know Todd, he was a legend at the workshop. He was so involved. He probably wasn't super keen to start with. How did you go about getting him to come? Because I just know that so many of my mamas are struggling at the moment to get their husbands to agree to come to a workshop.
You just give them the ultimatum of like, you know, it's this one Saturday and like one evening, or it's like 5 5 Saturdays in a row of like hypnobirthing
Yes.
or like, but like, you know, you just give them the better option. And
Yeah.
they're going to say yes. Yes.
So true.
Yeah.
Fucking sales guru.
Yeah.
So good. So good. Okay, cool. That's a good way to put it. Awesome. Okay, so then what happened? Tell me about like the end of your pregnancy. I know you went to Perth.
Yeah,
and
yep.
about
So,
that progression.
Yeah, I went over to Perth, it was for a work trip, but one of my best friend lives over there, so basically just had to go see her.
Sick.
And then had to get like, so I told my midwife and she was like, oh, you're not really meant to be flying after like, 26, max 27 weeks. I was flying over at 28.
Yeah.
And,
You mean 38, right?
oh, sorry. 38,
Yeah.
And, I was like,
Everyone's on the other side like, oh, 38.
yeah, I'll be fine because I look so small
Yeah.
that they were like, they didn't even know that I was that far away.
Yes. Yeah. On the flight.
Which was so lucky.
So true.
Because all the way through my pregnancy, they were really worried about Jet being so small because I was so small.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, oh, like, is he okay? Is he growing well?
Yeah.
And basically, like, it's like the Goldilocks effect. You're never perfect because you're either, like, you're too big or the baby's too big or you're too small. Like, it's never perfect. And every single time that they scanned him, which is good because I actually got more scans and got to see a lot more.
Yeah.
He was like, 70 percentile. So, like, well above average.
It's amazing. Your body just made him, like, your belly look so much smaller. It's interesting. It's like where, like, you just had more space on your insides for him to be there, so your belly was sticking out as much.
I feel like it was all in my back ribs, really.
Yeah.
That was very just like up and back.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing. Cool. So then you got back from Perth, and
got
what
back from
happened?
Perth. Got pretty much COVID, like, maybe like 5 days later. Got COVID.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly. I'm not around 39 weeks exactly then. And then literally the day I came out of ISO and I was like, I wasn't stressed the whole time in ISO. Our place was actually almost looking like it was going to flood again.
Yeah.
And so like, we got a new tinny just in case, like, and we're just like fully prepared. We were just like, oh well, like this will be fine anyway.
Yeah.
And then, basically just got out of ISO and then had a little bit of time and then had it out straight away.
Amazing. And leading up to, I know you were just saying before the podcast about the dates that you did there.
So eating 7 dates a day, that was something that you recommended, as well as the raspberry leaf tea.
Yeah.
And so it was like the raspberry leaf tea, I remember you being like, 2 to 4 cups, and I was like, well, I have to go hard, so it's got to be 4 cups of tea. And then I was like, who has time for 4 cups of tea during the day? And like, so I didn't have time because they went in like tea bags as well. So then you brew tea, it was just too much.
Yeah.
So then I got the capsules, so that worked really well.
Nice.
Yeah, so
you got to know yourself and
Yeah.
make it work.
Yeah. So got the capsules, that worked really well.
Nice.
And then like, had these like 7 dates a day. Like I'd be talking to other mums who were like pregnant same as me. Are you guys eating 7 dates a day? They were like, yeah. And then like I'd get it out of them because I'm like, why is no one? Am I being dramatic? Why is no one reacting like me right now? And then I'd get it out. Like they're having like a couple in their smoothie or they've made loose balls and they've had a couple in that. I'm like, that's not 7 a day. Like there's no way. And so. It was, I reckon I found out the best way to do all 7 is just all at once, pretty much, just with water.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's the best.
Okay, let's share that with the peeps because that's going to be a really good point because so many
It's
people
hideous.
do
You
struggle.
feel like you want to vomit.
Right.
Especially when I was having COVID and you didn't feel like eating at all. And then I was like, 7 days. You just get up first thing in the morning, smash your 7 a day, and then you're done. Then you don't
just
think
push
about
through.
it.
I love
Yeah, it's your
that.
mental game. You just go, I'm getting this done.
That fucking mental resilience of yours is incredible. Cool. So then, and I want to also mention, because I know this, so although you were doing your body balance daily, you had also decided, as like a bit of a fitness freak, so no one else felt the pressure to do exactly this, but you were doing like, I think it was 100 squats and 100 lunges a day.
Yeah.
Right? Which from my perspective in midwifery, first of all, you're building your physical resilience, so you're not going to get as physically exhausted during birth. But 2, you're also just giving so much mobility in that sacrum, mobility in the symphysis pubis. You're balancing those joints and you're opening that the inlet for baby to engage, right? So before you actually ended up going into labour, which I think this is a massive reason as to why Jenny did come so quickly, is because your cervix was already so ripe from your dates, the red raspberry leaf tea, and the fact that his head has been sitting in your pelvis for who knows how long, because your pelvis was so beautifully balanced and open, and you were opening that inlet daily, often, in like a huge way. So I just, full hats off to you in that experience, doing that with the mental and physical resilience is just huge.
I don't know if it was you or someone else said to me that getting in and out of the bath was really hard for their legs, and I was like, not fun, won't be for me, like I'm going to make sure of it. So I was planning this water birth.
Yes.
Yeah, even still actually, I remember during labour, my legs were still really sore in the squat position that I ended up giving birth in.
Wow.
Yeah. Like
your legs were really sore,
like
as in
just muscle strength, because I was like in
yeah.
It was like, this one leg like that.
Yeah.
Instead of doing prayer, I was like holding on to shots. So,
Like a molasses position,
so like that, that squat for minutes on end was like brutal.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. Oh, especially pregnant. Like, it's brutal for anyone.
Whoa. Oh, I like the look at that.
I like the shiny buttons. Yes. No, that's amazing. That's hard for anyone. That's hard for me sitting there for ages on end, let alone in pregnancy with all that extra weight and fluid. That's huge. And with like a bloody baby moving through the pelvis, like it's massive. So then, what happened when like labour started, etc.? How did that whole thing go down for you?
I was literally just cooking dinner. Like Todd was doing big days just because it was like, it could be any day now.
Yes.
Like just because, and then he was having some time off. So, big days. I think he was just on the couch. I was cooking dinner on the phone to a friend. She was asking me, she's like, oh, anything yet?
Yes.
Because it was due date, and I was just like, nothing. It'll be a week. And as I was on the phone to her, I started to feel something like in my tummy, and I was like, just like a bit of pain, and I was like, I just had a contraction. Oh, this must be the start of early labour. I could be like, 5 to 7 days from now.
Yeah.
Literally that was my mentality.
Amazing.
And then it was just like,
distract yourself until you can't distract yourself anymore. You just did that like full pelt.
100%. And then, got dinner, we were both sitting on the couch, and I was like, I didn't really feel like eating dinner, which was weird for me. And then got out my phone and got my stopwatch out, started timing, and it was like, I was already getting 5 contractions, lasting over a minute, and I had 5 in 8 minutes.
Wow.
And I remember timing and then oh my gosh, I have not listened. I've stuffed up this. I'm sure this can't be right, kind of thing.
Right.
So I was like, isn't this what you're meant to go to hospital with?
Yeah.
And then I was like, I remember literally just tossing my phone away and being like, that's a waste of time. I've stuffed up. I've never been good at math. I've stuffed up something here. And then maybe should have read something. And then I said to her, I'm gonna go have a shower. I don't feel that well. I think I'm starting to get something. It's probably could be the signs of early labour. And I was like, yeah, cool, no worries. Let me know if you need anything. And I didn't make it into the shower because I could have by that stage of just walking into the room. I was gonna be obsessed with that soundboard now.
Because it's forbidden.
I want that.
I wonder if I've got anything else. What about this little keyboard?
Oh yeah, he'll love it.
I'll get that. Here you go, mister. Oh.
Wow.
Wow. Oh my gosh. We've just given, for those on the podcast, Jenny my little iPad keyboard instead of the Rodecaster Pro. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Oh gosh. But yeah, so went into the bathroom, then was just in pain a bit, oh God, this is full on.
Yes.
And then I called out to someone, he came in and he was like, it's hard, and I was like, I know. And then he was like, let me just call my friend who's just they've just had a baby 2 weeks ago,
Yes.
She apparently just came down the room, all the stuff that you had told us.
Yes.
So I was getting a meditation playlist on the iPad, and I was so far past that. It couldn't have mattered what was playing.
No.
Todd's on the phone to his friend, and it was and then his friend's offer her a banana. And I was like, 200 banana. I was like, no, I don't want a banana right now. Are you serious? Like, get the fuck out of here, literally. Get the fuck out of here. And like, I was like, oh, it's like, you know, just hang in there, like, you know, this could be like 12 hours of this. And that was both of our mentality that was like, oh my god, I've got like 12 hours of this.
Yes.
And like, I had a friend who got on my taking her tens with me. And so I was like trying to put that on. But it was just like too far. Just like, you know, I obviously set it up wrong. And then tried to get Todd to help me. But it was like, it must have, like when it turned on, it must have like faltered just at the start. Because it could only go up to 5 and it's meant to go up to like 60. And like, so I remember her telling me, it was like, you know, start it really low and then like you can amp it up. So I was like starting it on 2 and like that's nothing. Like,
No.
Like 5 was still nothing. And I'm like, this does not feel like it's doing anything.
Yes.
But yeah, so basically it just went from 0 to 100 right then and there. And like I was on the phone when I couldn't get in the shower. I called the midwife. My midwife, who was my main one, wasn't on call that night. Fair enough. And then I spoke to this other lady and she like, you know, couldn't speak on the phone during my contractions. She was like, oh, you know, yep, first time mum, yep. And like, you know, just ticking all the boxes of being like an overreactor kind of thing. And just, which fair enough. Like, you know, we've both worked in the hospital and understand it. We've seen it. There are multiple people out there. And like, and I wasn't confident because I had never done it before.
Totally.
I was like, oh, I guess like I am.
It's just such a conundrum, this situation. Like, if this happens, I had another mum talking about this the other day where same thing, the midwives didn't listen, and I don't blame them. Like, I've not listened to first-time mums before as well when they're like, I'm definitely in labour. I'm like, But then, like, it's fucking hard because exactly as you say, you don't know.
Yeah.
Is this just like 30% of what a real contraction's like? I don't know. I know that they're meant to be bloody painful, so.
And like in my head, I was like, you know, how is anyone, like, you know, straightening their hair right now, or like, you know, listening to music right now, or lighting a candle right now? Like, I was on all fours in the bathroom. Like, there was none of that.
Yes.
So I called her and she was like, I can be out there in like 4 to 6 hours. And I was like, okay, you know, no worries. Like, you know, that's fine. Like, this is what it is. And then like we lasted like another hour of like trying to massage using the rebozo, like all the things that we had tried to do. But it was just like I was like too far gone. Like, it was done. Like, and then my body like started pushing, and I was like, whoa, like this.
Hold the fucking phone.
Still, I didn't even know then that I was like gonna have the baby tonight. I was still just like, well, this is amping it up. Like, this is a bit crazy. Literally, and I was like, maybe I should have watched those birth videos that they told me to do. But like, you know, I just was like, in my head, I was like, how am I gonna get into the car? And I was like, I guess I can go in the boot. Like, I was just trying to think, like, obviously not recently.
Yes.
But you know, and then I got to call back the midwife, and you know, he was like, oh, like, you know, it's pretty tough. Like, if she's struggling this much, maybe it'd be good if you could just come have a look. And it was like,
good on him.
Oh, okay. Coming from Curramundi, so I'd probably be like 45 to an hour.
I love that he just called and he said, like, look, you need to come. I love that.
And so, you know, that's what we waited. I was like, my body was just like pushing for like 45 minutes, but I wasn't pushing. But I was just like so hectic.
Involuntary.
Literally. Yes. And I was just like, this is wild. And then so she comes in, I'm in the bathroom on all fours, and she's like, oh, just come out here. I'm like looking at the carpet, being like, okay, like she said, come out here. And so I like commando slug out onto the carpet of our bedroom. And she's like, you know, la la la, and just like lifts my leg like, you know, 10 centimeters just up to have a first look. And she's like, holy fuck, why didn't you say something? And like Todd and I'm like so chill then, because I'm like, oh, phew, like I don't have 12 hours of this. And I relaxed and was like, oh my god, thank God, it's gonna be fine. I'm having, she's like, we're having this baby like now. And then she's like, call an ambulance. And like, so Todd's like on the phone calling the ambulance. And then, Dad. And then like, you know, it comes back in and she's like, did you say flashing lights and sirens to them? And I was like, no, but I did say like it was an emergency and we're having a baby. And she's like, call them back right now and tell them to come faster. So like she has had a complete freak out and was just like, here she was thinking, like, you know, just doing an early assessment, like, and so then, like, you know, Todd calls them back and he's like, yep, hello, yep, it's me. Yep, I was just on the phone before. And the ambo person's like, yep, we're sending someone out, mate. Like, and he's like, look, I'm just doing what I'm told. And then so,
yeah, put the lights in the focus sirens on.
Yeah, literally. And then the ambos arrive. And, like, you know, there's just like, now looking back, I'm like, it was just so hectic. I was just like, as soon as I was like, yeah, okay, this is happening, I was just like, I don't know, zoned out kind of thing. Like, I remember everything and I was just like, this is so painful. But then, like, ambos were there and it was just like, you know, nothing was happening. Yeah. And then, like, the midwife that was, like, freaking out had called another midwife who had just done, like, a 12-hour shift. And then, like, you know, lived the closest to us.
Yes.
And, like, you know, her boyfriend drove us to our place. He sat in the car. She came upstairs and was like, she just came in and, like, took control and was like, you know, she was like, Ambos, get the fuck out of here. Like, you know, you guys are useless pretty much. She's like, turn these lights off. Like, you know.
Yes. Create a fucking zone.
Literally. And so, like, you know, everyone, as soon as she arrived, she was like, get a chair, change position, like, you know, and then I was like holding her side, Tom was sitting in a chair, and like, and then he was out, like, you know, she was like, I need a torch, and then she was like, so we had the torch, and then she's like, I need another torch, and she's like, this one's the camera, and then I'm like, no media, like, I don't want to see this ever, I don't want you to see it, I want to see it. And then she's like, you'll want it later. And I was just like, no. And she did it. She like took some photos.
That's so funny.
Wild.
Amazing.
Yeah. And then literally.
So sorry, Todd was sitting in a chair like this, and you were like leaning over.
Yeah, like
in the Malasana position.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, and he came out that way, which was so lucky, no tears, no nothing. Apparently they said that it's like quite common to tear in that position.
Exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
So that's really lucky.
Yeah.
Awesome. Not even luck, but you obviously did all the things to prepare for that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
wow.
Crazy, hey.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Incredible. Cool. So then he came out. Did you catch him? Did the midwives catch him? Passing through the legs?
I think they passed him through the legs,
Yeah.
and then I just lay down, and then they just put him on my chest.
Yeah.
And as soon as he was on my chest, I just remember him like lifting his head up, and I was just like, this is not right. You're not meant to be lifting your head up. And like all the girls have been like calling him Noodle the whole pregnancy, just for like, because he's got no muscle, like they have no muscle, they're like little noodle neck.
Yeah.
And then so he came out, he must have been listening to all their like bullying in the room, and like, you know, first thing he did was like, yeah,
I'll prove to you I'm strong.
yeah. So that's his nickname now, Noodle.
Yeah, I've called him Noodle heaps of times.
Yeah,
that's funny. I
what
didn't realise it was from that.
Yeah.
That's so amazing. Okay, so he got passed through the legs.
Yeah.
And we're back. Hello, mister.
Mm.
You want to jump on the pod? Got passed through the legs. You sat back. He looked up at you, and you hadn't torn at all.
Yeah.
How was that feeling? How was that feeling of sitting back? Probably Todd was behind you, and then you were.
Yeah, that
How
was
was
it.
like the fucking.
It was just like, wow, I'm so glad it's over. Like,
Yes.
you know. And then I just remember like looking at our hospital bag and being like, that's a waste of time. And like, you know, just like stupid stuff like going through your head.
Yes.
I prepared this whole snack bag. Which,
Yeah.
like, we enjoyed it after, but like,
Yes.
yeah.
That is so funny.
We did have to go to hospital just because he came out so fast that he had a bit of fluid in his lungs, and he had like increased respiratory, increased work of breathing.
Yes.
But it was fine.
Yes. Amazing. It was funny because I was just, for those on the podcast, I was telling Kate about this post that I did the other day in regards to fast labours. And it is funny, as you say, like, no one wants a long labour, which totally understandable, but fast labours aren't always the fucking best thing either, because not only are they just, like what you saying, it's too far gone going from 0 to 100, like it's not a normal thing necessarily to have 5 or 6 contractions in a 10-minute period, which is what you were experiencing. That's like what we would call hyperstimulation, and that happened naturally for you. But yeah, it just causes this like kind of frantic energy, and you can't necessarily cope with that as such. Like obviously you get through it, but there's no like, you know, calm birthing or like breathing or zoning out to the music, etc. So it is a really interesting perspective, and I think it's good for people to hear it. Like, although, you had a great experience, but even like the whole aftermath, like I've had a woman recently, her first babe was like 20 hours, her second babe was more like what Jetty was for you. And the first babe, she had like this full out-of-body experience, like all the hormones, all the vibes were going after the birth and everything. But then the second babe, because it was so quick, she was kind of like finished, and she was like, job done. That's that birth, like ticked off the list sort of thing. Because you just don't have that same hormonal release over such a long period of time that when they finally comes, you're just like almost having this weird like spiritual out of body thing.
Yeah.
So it's just really an interesting perspective, isn't it?
Yeah, and like, I had no time for not even Panadol or something. I remember I just asked for like a wet face washer and that was it. That was all I needed. Like,
Yes. Amazing. So how was the whole postnatal experience for you? Because Jetty's 9 months now.
Yeah, 9 months. It was really tough at the start. He had lip tongue and bilateral cheek ties. So that was brutal. Just basically, working that out. That took way too 3 months to work it out in hospital. I was like, is that a tongue tie? And like, you just should follow your gut because they're like, no, it's too small to matter. And I was like, there's something wrong with like his suction and like, he looked really good when he latched, but then his latch. So his latch was fine, suction was poor. Suction was reduced by over 50%. So it was like he was having little degustation meals each time he'd go on.
Yes.
And like he was still such a big rig because I was up the whole night like feeding him.
Yes.
So that was tough to fight, like to work that out, and then you have to do all these like stretches of his mouth and stuff. But it's fine now.
Yes.
Oh boy,
Yes. Because for that first, was it 3 months, sorry, you said?
Yeah, 3 months.
I remember you were just like, pretty much didn't sleep that whole
Yeah.
time, which was super, super rough. And this is just classic you actually with the whole birth experience as well. You just kind of think, well, they said it was rough and you won't get medication, so it just must be normal, like pretty rough, but I guess you just kind of deal with the fucking job at hand.
You've got you've got nothing to compare it to.
No.
Like, you just get on with it.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Exactly. And then you've always had enough milk?
Because I did at the start and had a huge supply at the start, but because he was like, sucking less than 50%, the supply went down heaps.
Yes.
And so we only really found out that there was a problem like with his, like it was related to his food and how much he was eating, which was affecting his sleeping.
Yes.
We found that out when I was a bridesmaid at a wedding. And so, like, Todd had a whole day, he was on bottles, I just expressed, and then he slept for more than 3 hours, which was like more than he had done since he was born.
Wow.
And so that was like, okay, well, why is that?
Yeah.
And it was like, let's just stick with the bottles for a bit, like, something, I was like, oh, it's sort of going to pump, and then he's like, yeah, let's just do it, like, it's work for your sleep, and then it's fine.
Nice.
And then so I was like, okay, well, why is that happening? So our lactation consultant, she picked up that his suction was poor, then that just started everything else.
Wow, isn't it amazing? That's really interesting. It's important to like just think open-mindedly about things, like always kind of analyzing things, always thinking about things, not just kind of like, it is what it is, let's just deal with it, you know what I mean? Like, which is what you guys did perfectly, and that's awesome that Todd was kind of like observing that as well and being like, look, like this is something we really should do. That's so cool. How's the whole transition into motherhood been?
It's been great. I love it. Hey, I'm very lucky, really, that we don't need to go back to work. Don't need to rush back there.
Yes.
Just loving it. Just hanging out with this little cutie the whole time. Like,
it's awesome.
I loved it so much. It's awesome.
Which is funny because knowing you beforehand, I don't know what you thought, but I definitely thought personally that you would struggle with motherhood. I thought you would struggle with the slowing down, the being at home, and whatever. Yeah. But did you think that too? Or?
We haven't slowed down. Hey, like, Jet's still coming out on the boat. He'll go on the motorbikes. Like, he just does it all.
Yes.
He does it all with us, which just makes it fun.
Amazing. And this is always such a pleasant surprise for me when I'm like, ooh, like I hope that transition's going to be okay. They're not going to like, get upset or get postpartum depression or anything like that with the transition of motherhood, but you've just like taken it into your stride and seem happier than ever.
I think
with the whole family thing, the whole baba.
Oh,
it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Awesome to see. You've been such a good boy for us, Teddy. Thank you so much. Do you have anything else you want to add to the mamas? Any hot tips for pregnancy, birth, postpartum, or like anything that you learned that you were like, fuck, I wish I knew that before?
Only that Wilby's. That was like, you know, we used that for Jet, which, you know, hard to, like, it was like he was on drugs when we gave it to him for the first time. And like, you know, he sucked it down, but whether that was because he actually had stomach issues, because he was so hungry, like there's a few things that I'll know more for the second time. I feel like second time around, even though you've got two to deal with, you just are a lot more educated, and like there's like, you know, no one can ever describe like the pain that you will go through. Like you can think about it, but like you won't actually, until you've lived it, you don't know. So
in regards to labour?
Yeah, and like the birth itself, and just what to imagine, and like, you know, waking up every 3 hours. Like you're just like, if I got told that, like if I told you now you have to wake up every 3 hours, like maybe every hour, you'd be like, no. But like, you know, you just do it when you've got this little human to take care of.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Something that I always try to remind my mamas, and it's, I don't know how helpful it is, but I know for me, when I was told this once before, I just found that like the biggest godsend is that you are much more resilient than what you think. So whether it be labour, contractions, no one can prepare you for that. No one can prepare you for motherhood, the sleep deprivation, the nipple pain, whatever it is. But always remember in every moment you are so much more resilient than what you think.
You just get through it.
You get through it. You get through it. Whenever you think, I can't do this anymore, just think, I am fucking so much more resilient than what I think right now. It's okay to be upset, it's okay to be overwhelmed, but like, I fucking got this, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
So good. So good. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for jumping on.
Thank you. Good.
My pleasure. It's been a long time coming, so pumped about it. Thanks, Teddy. Say something to the mamas. Bye.
Say dad, dad, dad.
Dad, dad, dad. Dad, dad, dad. No.
No, you're shy.
No, he's got
Say
shy all of a
shy.
sudden. Bye.
Bye.
Alrighty. Let's turn this live off too. How good! Amazing! Thanks, mamas, for jumping on.